Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining our presentation. Today we are going to talk about Audubon native plants implementation using AngularJS. And this is a part of Friday Tech Talks by FFW. So a little bit about native plants, what it is and what it provides. Basically, it provides information about plants native to a specific area in the United States, and the area is determined by the postal zip code. So basically, users are entering their zip codes, and then they can see a listing of plants with plant name, image, description, and also the birds attracted by these plants. By zip code comes from the external system, and we are using some custom views plugin that queries the external system by zip code and gets the plant's results from this endpoint by zip code, and the results are returned in JSON format. Then we are decoding this format and adding some additional data that is placed in special Drupal content type. This data allows us to select best results from the list of plants returned by the external service, to have some custom image for the plant, to add some description text to the plant, and some other details. The application that the users are using allows to filter and sort results in different ways by common name or scientific name, and also it allows to search results by some free text search. Then users can select plants they want after they review the listings and get the list of plants they like, email address they specify. The application also shows local and regional resources to help users with native plants, basically where to buy native plants, and some other stuff there to get more information about native plants. So they can select nurseries that are nearby. They can see Audubon centers and other Audubon resources that are nearby to get some help about native plants and about birds that are attracted by native plants. This presentation talks about the third iteration of this project. Basically, we started working with native plants about a year ago. We released the first iteration. Then on September 2016, there was the native plants 2.0, and several days ago, we just finished the native plants 2.1. Here is the screenshot of the main interface of the application. As you can see at the top, we have the text field to enter a zip code. Then we feature the information, what is the nearest Audubon center near the user. There, the customer can go and get some information, get some help. Then we have tabs for best results and full results with counters of plants available in each category. And after that, we have different filters and free text search, and then a widget to sort plants. And after that, we have the plants listing with plant image, description, name, scientific name, and all the other details, and also the birds that are attracted by this plant. These are the bird families that are attracted by this plant. Also, there is a checkbox to add a plant to your list, and you can also add all plants below to your list if you'd like. So that's the user interface screenshot. I will show a demo a little bit later. Technical challenges for this version. We were tasked by Audubon team to add more filters and also add the free text search that should allow the users to search by plant name, plant scientific name, and also by the plant description. The filters should also support multi-selection. So for all the filters we have, we should support multi-select. We also were tasked to add sorting widget. We did not have it in previous versions. And we should allow to sort the plants listed by either common name or scientific name in alphabetical order. We were also asked to improve performance and to improve it both on backend and client side. So the server should perform better, and we should lower the number of requests if possible and decrease the load. And about the client side, we should improve application responsiveness so that users are feeling more comfortable when using the application. They don't wait for different filtering actions and other stuff. Another feature was the support for browser back and forward buttons. Basically, the user should be able to use back buttons to go through the series of different filtering and tab changing actions they did. So the back button should function like canceling their filtering action and going to the previous step of the application. Another thing that came later on was improving user experience. We were asked to provide more visual signals and feedback about what application is doing and how, so the user is not seeing like the same screen and not understanding if the results were changed or not. And another task was to support more plants in the cart. So basically there was a limitation like for 20 or 30 plants maximum in the cart that users may select. And basically it meant that the cookie storage is not enough, and we switched to the browser local storage. General approach. So what were our thoughts and logical like decision making on how to approach these tasks? Previous iterations were using views, and views module was used for both getting the results from the external application and rendering them, so preparing the rendered page. We're also using exposed filters form to provide different filters, and it led to the following like situation that then the user just changing any filter or changing listing, new request was generated to the server, and our server was building like the same view with different parameters. Different filters are showing. So it was putting some load to the server. The good condition for us was that for every zip code in the United States, the application was returning a limited number of results. So basically several hundreds of results maximum and up to 500 or 600 per specific zip code. Maybe there are zip codes with more results, but in general, there are only like 2,000 and a half. So 2,500 of different plants in the system. So the results are really limited. There is nothing like millions of records or something like that. So the general approach was to get all the results at once, request all the results for the specific zip code at once, and then render and filter and sort them on the client side. So basically, we changed our approach, our architecture to request all the plants for the specific zip code at once and render them on the page using some client-side code. The pager changes also are powered now by the client-side code. So why AngularJS was chosen for that? we had some experience with it, and we knew that it's capable to address the technical challenges, the technical tasks that the Audubon team wanted to see implemented. It's mature and has lots of plugins, basically because it's already several years on the market, and it was used by many implementations, and it also has a lot of plugins because of like several years on the market. Other candidates, like possible candidates that probably can do the same, are Vue.js, React, maybe Angular 2 Plus, version of Angular.js, and maybe Ember.js. So basically, any modern JavaScript framework should be able to do these tasks. But as we had experience only with Angular, and we knew that Angular is definitely possible, Angular is definitely capable of implementing all these features, we went ahead with Angular. A little demo. So this is the starting screen of the application. You can already see my email here and some zip code. Basically, the application remembers the values the user entered like before and sets them as the defaults. After the operation discharge, the AJAX request is made to the server to validate the email and zip code, and then the user is redirected to another URL that includes the entered zip code. And this is the main application screen. There you can see different tabs. And after that, user can use some filters. And when you change the filter, basically the throwbar appears on the results counter. And after the results are calculated, the number changes. And you can also see that the plants listing area fades out in like gradually. And it gives the user the visual feedback of what's going on. You can also change other filters, and it will do just the same. And you can clear the filters. The sorting widget uses the same animation. You can sort by scientific name or common name, and it will use the same animation. And there is also the pre-text search. Like if I want to see some flowers on the trees, I can definitely do that. And a little bit about the pagination. So after changing the page, the user will be smoothly scrolled to the top of the listing, and then we will see the same animation, fade out, fade in. So this is all powered by Angular. And also these links here are also filters. And after you click some filter, some link, the filter is changed, and then the results are shown. Once again, the user is scrolled top, the filter is changed, and then fade out, fade in animation. And it provides a great user experience as the results filtering is really fast, the pagination is really fast, and the user sees the visual feedback, fade out, fade in. So the user understands what's going on, and he sees that the results are really changing after his actions. And what is great about Angular is that all this stuff is done client-side. So no server are sent after the initial loading of the application. And if we change the zip code, and we see again your results are loading, then it fades out with the new results. also change tabs, filters, and now I will show you how the back button works. So basically we're selecting fruit and butterflies. So if we are going back, then the filter will change, but it apparently didn't. So something is probably not working well, but the results counter changed. As you can see, we can press forward again and again. So we have two results, then back 58, then back 269. And it looks like we just discovered a bug that the values in the filter are not really changing. And we also were changing some tabs. So if we go back, then we see that the tab is changing to another one, like we clicked on them. So that's it for the demo. And the next step for us, I believe, to look at some code. Yep. So I will switch to PHP Storm. And mostly I will be talking about the JavaScript code and how the application is structured. So as we can see, this uses usual Drupal behaviors approach to run some JavaScript code, and then the page is loading. And basically here are the modules of Angular we are using for our application. This is used to work with cookies, and gsanitize is used to provide features like explain to Angular what HTML is safe to render and what is not. And ganimate is used for animations, fade in, fade out actions. UI router is the third-party plugin. So it's developed not by Angular team, but by some other guys. And it is used to power the features that allows us to use the back and forward browser buttons. So it provides features like push into browser history, different that contain different states of application, states for different filters, and state for active tab. And the storage is the Angular library to work with browser local storage. And DU scroll is another third-party plugin that allows for smoother scrolling. And basically, as you can see, we have here some constants that are setting that the animation duration is half a second, 500 milliseconds, and the scroll duration is also half a second. Default state params. So what is a state? A state is the set of data that determines different variables and describes the state. And the default state of our application is that the active tab for us is best results. All the filters are not set, so show all the results. The page to show is the first page, order by common name for both best results and full results. And the text search filter is also empty. So we are defining with default state params our default application state. And here goes the configuration of our URL. So basically we are saying that our application lives at this URL with these params. And as you can see, the query parameters we have here enter the default state params we described here. So basically Angular will understand if active tab in the query set to some value, then it means it should set the state parameter to this value. And if we switch quickly back to the demo. Where is it? Okay. This one. To the demo. We can see as we change the active tab, the URL parameter is changed to full results. If we switch to local resources, then it will be local resources. And back to best results, it's back to best results. If the application is like loaded without any params, then it will use default params we were just seeing. And then there are also two methods. So params, default state params, and two methods are onEnter and resolve. Resolve method allows us to make a request to the server, then the application is loading. So basically, it gets the zip code from the state params, from the URL, and makes a request to get the data for this zip code. And only after the resolve operation like done, then the application can continue and enter into the state. So first resolve function runs, we get the data from the server, and then onEnter function runs that sets some filters and prepares the data to be shown. If you were watching my presentation on YMCA retention campaigns, then you should be familiar with courier and storage services. So courier is basically used to communicate with the backend, and here we have some code that actually makes a request to the server and gets the results. And we also using the courier only in the storage. So the courier get data function is only called from the server, or not from the server, not only from the storage service of get data. Here we have some custom caching. So if we don't have a cache, like on client side, on the front end, for the particular zip code, only then we call the courier get data. This is needed because then any filter or any tab changes, the application basically switches to another state and it runs the resolve function again. It would not be caching the results for particular zip code, then it would send a request to the server again. So that's why we have caching here. And when the application switches the state and the zip code is the same, then the request to the server will not be done. Then, as usual, we have several controllers that are powering different blocks on our application. The controllers are basically the functions specific to some blocks, and for the plans listing controller, we have this native plans results controller. It has some functions like set filter link, set page, and order by change. So some functions to actually power our application. The good thing to note here is that Angular is really good for applications, and I will illustrate it on this example. We have here the text search progress check that basically returns either form filter load or an empty string, and it is used here when you change any filter. You can see a throw bar appearing here. or if you type any text here, you can see the same throbber here. So basically, we are only changing the class of this element to show a throbber. And the class we are returning depends on the data, meaning it depends on some variable. And here we are checking filtering in progress plus tier. Tier is basically determining just either its best result stop or full result stop. And we are checking if this filtering in progress for best results, for example, then the text search like widget will have this class, and then we have some CSS code to basically show the throbber here when this text box has this class. Animations are done like the same. We are basically returning, like you can see here, animation class, and this is what powers the fade in, fade out action. So we are checking some variable and then returning some class. And after that, we have special CSS rules to power the animations. All the animations are done using the CSS transitions on this application, and we only need to write the code that just adds or removes the classes from some HTML elements. So we talked about the Angular router, which is a new element. Imagine it here like for the first time. And we talked about the animations. And animations are basically just adding and removing classes from some HTML elements. That the code we have here, it's like not ideal. We are still learning how to use Angular. We were like investigating the performance issues with it, and it's quite performant. So basically, it can be improved to be more performant, but it can be improved to be more generalized and probably feature some code reuse in different places. But you can use it for reference and to understand how different working with native plants. And here is some feedback that Audubon team provided to me yesterday. Basically, John Mahoney was providing some feedback to me, and the Angular implementation gave us a lot more flexibility to do more complex things with the UI, and it is definitely true. So basically, we were free to implement any user interface, any markup we wanted. We were not bound to views, rendered markup, views, templates, or anything like that. We could use any markup we want. And once we refined the performance of a bit, it seemed like it could handle a lot of data smoothly. I can comment on that yes, Angular is good at slicing and dicing your data in different ways, applying different filters and different pages and other stuff, different sorting, only if you have like a limited amount of data. If you have like millions of items, then you should implement requests to the server still, because only the server can handle like millions of entries, and only like some database engine can allow you to select limited sets out of it. And if you can't load all the data at once to the client side, then you need to load them in chunks and basically send requests to the server that explains what chunk of data you need. And another feedback was the filtering seems much improved. Again, just being able to load a lot of data and manipulate it. Exactly. So basically, we load all the data at once, and then use Angular power to filter and sort it. Basically, that's it. And here comes the most important slide of this presentation. And it's about saying thank you, because basically implementing some new technology and implementing some innovative things on a commercial project is a bit stressful, because you're doing something new that you never done before, and you have some doubts about if this all will go well or not. And I would say that experience for us to work on Angular, and I really enjoyed working on it. And I want to say thank you to Audubon team, and especially John Mahoney, for allowing us to choose this technology and for allowing us to have some budget to make a architecture switch. So from one architecture to render the results to completely another one. And I want to thank the Jose Pereira for his patience and endurance in this project. We had some difficulties, and I want to thank Jose and again for managing these jobs. I want to thank also Christina and Albina for their continued project management and account management, and for selling this project to Audubon team. Another thanks goes to YMCA campaigns, and the retention campaigns was the first experience for me and for our team at FFW to actually work with Angular on some production projects. Another thanks goes to Dmitry Drozdik for trust in choosing Angular approach for some crucial tasks for the retention campaigns. It was a new technology for him too, and I had some experience in the past, but very limited one. Still, we have some trust in Angular, and the experience shows that really it was a good choice for us to use Angular. I also want to thank Andrei Maximov for some private key talks and discussions, and logical decisions making that we were doing in some talks and discussions. So he was the key person for me to express my feelings and attitude to Native Plants project, and he was providing some feedback if Angular can be used or not on Native Plants. Our triple B, it's really funny, I was just writing the name in the presentation, and Alex, Ivan, and Tiago, they all have their second names starting with B. So triple B team, thank you for doing some and many fixes and different things on the Native Plants. Without you, it would not be possible to make this project. Then Andrei Maximov again, Yelena and Alexei Strikala for all the markup work, not only for Native Plants 2.1, but also for previous iterations of Native Plants. This work is really important, and thank you very much for all that you've done. Adam D'Angelo and Denis Kozhemyakin for all the design and user experience help, for providing some insights on what to improve in the design and what to improve in user experience. Because basically the design was provided by Audubon team, and we were reviewing it and giving some advices on what can be improved, and some of them really helped. Also Alexander Molchanov and Artur for the attention to the details for their quality assurance and all the other stuff. And also thanks to all the Dream Team for all the support and just being awesome. So I will be answering the questions now. So please use our Dream Team Slack chat to post the questions if you have any. I see one from Alexander Molchanov. You mentioned that angular choice depends on amount of data to be processed. Basically, it's more not like choosing the angular, it's more like to the decision that we can actually load all the data at once. So if you have like more data to be processed, then we definitely can't load it all at once. We should load them in chunks, like Views does. So Views only loads like 50 items if you have like 50 items per page. And if you have a limited amount, like several hundreds, then you can really load it all at once and then not make any more requests to the server, just work with all the data on the client side. It appeared to me that you are pulling lots of data for native plants. What is the limit of data entries that can be handled by client side? Basically, it is limited by like memory your browser can allocate to actually amount of the data you are loading. We can actually see what we are loading for the native plants. If you go to network and see the tests they are doing, like reload the page. And here it comes. So we are basically loading like, now this number doesn't seem to be correct, but response. So we are basically loading all the data we need, and this includes plants, nurseries, additional resources, terms. Terms is basically what we use for the filters. These filters are actually taxonomy terms. And I will clear my cache and try again. So you can see that we are loading about 100 of kilobytes for this particular zip code. For some other zip codes, it'd be like less or more, but around this number. Waiting for more questions. What about analytics for all this application? Does AngularJS provide any useful integrations with analytics platforms? Can the user's behaviors be analyzed? There are such plans. I will start from the end. No, it was not implemented. Regarding the plans also, I'm not sure if we have anything like that. I haven't heard about it. Basically, yes, it can be done. So we can generate events for any analytics like platforms, and like then user changes the filter. We can send some event to Google Analytics or any other analytics platform, and like any action, you can run some custom JS code to actually register any event you want with your favorite analytics system. I did not investigate this. Probably there are some like libraries or plugins for Angular that provide like easy integrations with any analytical systems. But it definitely can be done. So it looks like we don't have any more questions, and we are up with our time. So thank you all for participating in this presentation, for watching it, and thank you for your questions. See you next Friday. Bye-bye.